So let's open Adobe Illustrator and create a new document. We're going to name this BB Banner, and the dimensions are going to be 1000 pixels by 240. Color mode is going to be RGB, and we're going to leave the resolution to high. Click Create. So the first thing I'm going to make is the background of the banner. And for that, I'm going to click on the rectangle tool and then click on my artboard. And the dimensions of this rectangle are going to be 1000 by 240 pixels. So we're going to click OK. And then I'm going to align this to the center of the artboard. Next thing I'm going to do is add a gradient fill. So I'm going to go to my gradient panel, select the default gradient, and then I'm going to change this white color to a dark gray. To do that, I'm going to double click on the white circle and then click the darkest gray that they have. All right. And now I'm going to click back into the gradient panel and change the gradient style from a linear gradient to a radial gradient. Okay. So that gives us a nice bright center that fades out to dark. And then I want to get rid of the stroke around this rectangle. So I'm going to select my selection tool, click on there, and then go down to the bottom, select the fill box, and change it to none. Okay. And now I'm going to press Command 2 with the background selected, and that's going to lock it in place. And I'm just doing that so that when we create our crime scene tape, it does not select our background with it. So now we are going to create our crime scene tape. And I'm going to click my rectangle tool again. I'm going to click in the document, and this time I'm going to make the width a little bit longer than the banner. So let's do 1280, and then let's do a height of, let's say, 110 pixels. This is personal preference. It doesn't matter. We just want to make our crime scene tape with enough height for the text to fit comfortably, but not too much height to where we can't add a course title and professor name down at the bottom. So I'm just going to place this over to get a feel of it, and this looks okay for now. So what I'm going to do is change the feel of this rectangle for the crime scene tape to a yellow gradient. So with this selected, I'm going to go back to my gradient panel and change this dark gray. I'm going to double click here, and then I am going to go to color, and I'm going to type in the color that I want to use. So this one's going to be F4DA21, and I am going to say press enter. So that gives us a nice yellow there. And then for the black, we're going to double click the circle and change this to a darker yellow. So if you're getting this CMYK only, you just click here, and we're in RGB mode for this web banner. And I'm going to change this to CBB22F and click. Press enter again. So this is our gradient fading from a bright yellow in the center to a dark yellow at both ends. I'm going to click off of there. And now I'm going to create the stripes that are on the crime scene tape. So we are going to select our rectangle tool again and drag one out. So the height is going to be 110 pixels. And then let's change the width of this stripe to, let's say, 30. And now we just want this one to be a solid black. So I'm going to go to my swatches panel and select black. Then I'm going to click the direct selection tool, click our bottom two anchor points, and drag them along the bottom, pressing shift. All right. Now I'm going to go back to my regular selection tool, and I'm going to move this rectangle all the way to the bottom edge of our yellow rectangle. Then I'm going to select the black rectangle again, click on it, press Option and Shift and drag it till they intersect. And now with the new rectangle still selected, I'm going to press Command D and duplicate this black slanted rectangle for the whole width of this yellow rectangle. Okay. So now we're going to select off of that. And what we're going to do is delete every other black rectangle. So I'm just selecting every other slanted rectangle. And now I'm going to delete those. Okay. And now what we want to do is select our rectangle tool again. And I'm going to draw a black rectangle over the yellow and black stripes. So this is going to be where our text goes. And let's change the height of this one. Let's make it 80. And then I'm going to drag it down to center it. And I'm going to now lock our yellow rectangle because we don't need it for these next steps. I'm going to click on the artboard and select only the slanted black rectangles. And I'm going to select all of those and group them. And now I am going to select the long black rectangle and the group black rectangles. And I am going to go to my shape builder tool. And then I am going to combine that shape, leaving the top unselected. So right now, when I click on this middle one and delete it, it's only going to give us the yellow text, which is what we want. So that is our background crime scene tape. And I am going to go to Object and Unlock All, which is going to unlock our background, but most importantly, it's going to unlock our yellow crime scene tape background. And that's what we want. So I'm going to select all of this and then group it. And then I'm going to click here and click Option and drag this one up. So this is our first tape. We're going to take this and place it over our crime scene background and just tilt it a little. And so now, or the illusion of depth to our banner, I'm going to click the rectangle tool again, make this one 1000 by 240 pixels and click OK. I'm going to align it to our artboard again and add another gradient. So I'm going to change this one from a bright yellow, double click, to black. And then I'm going to change the opacity of this stop to 0. And then we're going to change this one also to black and change the opacity of that one to about 80%. Okay. So now we're going to go back to our other crime scene tape. I'm going to click on this one and I am going to ungroup for the time being. And I'm going to change this gradient to brighter yellows because this one's in the foreground and this is where our text is going to live. So with the ungroup, I selected the yellow background and I am going to change this yellow to FAF 06B. So that's a brighter yellow. And then we're going to change this yellow to E4C421. Okay, so it's a little slight change, but I think it helps. So now we're going to go to our text tool, and we're just going to use normal text. For this one, I'm going to use the text called Impact just because it's a default text that's on most computers. And it's really big, bold letters, but feel free to use any kind of font that you want to use that's big and bold. You don't have to use Impact. So I'm going to change this to 72 for now. And then I'm going to make it all caps. And I'm going to center the text. And for this one, we're just going to type out crime scene, do not cross. So for this, now that it's typed, I'm going to take it and move it onto our yellow tape. And I'm just gonna get it more centered for the artboard. So with that selected, I'm just gonna click align horizontally to center, and that's gonna be based off of the artboard. So this seems a little tight, the text does to me. So I'm going to change the tracking in between the letters to about 100. And that looks good. We can lower our font down just so it's not too abrasive. Okay, so that's looking good to me. I am going to select everything up here and group it. And now I'm going to take this, I'm going to press Command X to cut it, and then Command F to paste it in front. And I did that because we want to make sure that this crime scene tape is on top of the gradient that we just made to add that shadow to the first crime scene tape that we put there. So now I'm going to select this and drag it down. And I'm going to rotate this one. To just kind of offset and give them a layered feel. Okay, so we've got our crime scene done, and now we're going to create another overlay to kind of add a little more illusion of depth to this. Layer 2. So like the other one, we're going to click our rectangle tool, keep our pixels at 1000 by 240. We're going to center it, and then we're going to go to gradient again and change our yellow colors to black. And the opacity for that one is going to be 0. And then double click here again, change it to black, and then we're going to set this to 50%. Okay. And now we are almost done. So the next thing we're going to do is add our welcome text for the class and add the professor's name. And so for this one, I am going to use a font called Futura. So I'm going to type out my welcome message, which is welcome to criminology. And then I'm going to click my text, press Alt, drag down to give me another text box, and then I'm just going to put my name and my email. Okay, so I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to pick Futura. And I am going to change the text color to white. And I'm going to scale these, change the font size to, let's say, 36. Okay, so now we're just going to do some basic changes to the typography. I am going to get rid of the all caps because I don't need that. And since this is not all capitalized, I'm not going to use that much traction on the text. I'm also going to make this a heavier font. So let's say Demi. This doesn't look bad. And then for the bottom one, we're going to make this smaller still. Let's say 18. Let's get rid of the all caps again. Let's reduce this down. And then let's make this something heavier still, since it is white text on a black background. We want it to not be the main attraction, but still noticeable. Let's try making this all caps and get a feel for it. That's not bad. We'll do 75. Okay, maybe a little bigger. And now that we've got this all set, it's mostly just playing around and getting comfortable with what you like. One more thing that I'm going to do is select both of these text layers, and then I'm going to go to Object. Go to Effect, and then Stylize, and I'm going to add a drop shadow and just keep it at the default settings. And now you can go around and play with your crime scene tape. You can tilt this one more. You can change the tilt direction of them. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to tilt this back down and drag it. And that's how you make a banner for a criminology course using Adobe Illustrator. So the next thing you want to do now is export your banner. So I'm going to go to File, Export, and select Export As, and then I'm going to tell it to use the artboard so it'll clip off all of our extra crime scene tape. I'm going to go to Export, and I'm going to change my resolution for exporting to screen 72 dpi, and this is what's going to keep your banner from being really huge when you upload it into Blackboard. Background color, it can be white. We've used all of our backgrounds, so that doesn't really affect us, and I'm just going to say okay, and that's it.